morning, little hoes. My name is Kristen and welcome back to my channel. Today I am continuing on with my retail plant rant series, in which I rant and rave about annoying, frustrating, upsetting things that have happened to me while working in a retail nursery environment. Today I am going to be touching on a few different things and wrapping it all up into one video. I will be starting with pests in the nursery. Now, this topic came about because of an incident that happened last year in the nursery. Because of COVID, a local little business had to sell to other nurseries just because they couldn't keep their doors open at the time. And so I bought some adorable little black colocasias and brought them back to the store to sell. Unbeknownst to me, they either had some spider mites or a few eggs that didn't get nuked, and when people took them home, some of those spider mites hatched. Now, you guys know how I feel about colocasias and alocasias. To have them in your home is to have a fine and flourishing crop of spider mites. There's just not really any way around it. They are very prone to it, and that kind of goes with the territory. To own one of them means you're very likely to have those pests. Unfortunately, people were not at all understanding, and instead of, bringing it to the attention of the nursery, they had to go and smear our name across social media about how awful it is that a company would be selling a plant with pests. And this is just super frustrating to me because, I don't go into your homes and point out the fact that you're still struggling with mealybugs on your cacti. Or maybe you are still in the midst of trying to control the dreaded thrips. It's such a challenge, and it can take so long to get rid of certain pests. Why is it, as a society, we can bash small companies, medium companies, even large companies, and somehow it's okay? Because there's people behind these companies. There's people that are actually very much trying to get things working right. So I'm just going to give you a snippet of how it works when I have to treat plants at work. First of all, I can't always use harsh chemicals because it is in a public spot. I oftentimes have to resort to more natural approaches. And you guys know that natural oftentimes means you're going to have to go back multiple times to try and defeat the pest. Not only do you have to spray for the initial adults, you have to spray for the eggs and larvae, and it can take quite a long time to get rid of it. If I do have to use stronger chemicals, I have to take them outside. I can't just spray in the greenhouse. I have to quarantine them and spray them, date them, wait and see if anything occurs, and spray again. Unfortunately, that's not always easy to do in the dead of winter when I have no other places to spray. Also, extremely large specimen plants in our greenhouse, I can't move them out either. So I have to do a lot of in-situation treating, and again, it can be very difficult to try and get it all under control. Not to mention, sometimes bugs become resistant to some pesticides, some products, and I really have to mentally chart what I use and rotate products so that doesn't become an issue. Let's also talk about how difficult it is to try and do basic maintenance on plants with a very minimal crew, with a springtime rush that is just beyond the comparison of what we've seen in past years. And having to deal with that, having to deal with unloading new shipments every day, having to help customers one right after the other. Spring is a very difficult time for most nurseries globally, I will even say, and cutting them some slack is really very much appreciated. Not only for me, but for other nurseries, because we can barely get away to take a shit in the bathroom let alone get time away to try and dab alcohol on mealybugs in the greenhouse. It's not always going to happen. Now, I always try and see both sides of a situation, and I do understand, especially as someone that loves to plant shop, how frustrating it is to always have to check your plants before buying to make sure that they look healthy and there's no bugs hitchhiking their way back home with you. Next point, the condition in which plants arrive to us. And sometimes we can't always control the size of the plant, the condition, if it gets banged up in transit, or if it receives some cold damage in transit. These are all real facts that happen when dealing with ordering plants. I wish I could make people understand how frustrating it is when you have to point out to me that a plant is sad looking, because I can clearly see a sad plant and I realize it's sad, but there's not much I can do until it can recover from the problems it's facing. There's really not much I can do. I also can't mark down every plant that's not in pristine condition, because obviously I have to make money back. I have to pay for the plant itself, the shipping costs, the time and effort it took for the employee to unpack them, receive them, price them, put them out, and tend them along the way. So you're telling me it's a sad plant really makes no difference. Really does nothing but to make the person feel bad about the job that they've done or are trying to do in getting this plant to health. Also, on to soil. I don't really have control over the soil my suppliers use for my plants, and I've seen this time and time again in the greenhouse. Certain plants from certain nurseries that sell to me use soil that just retains water way too much. So it can be very difficult to control it when they come in so saturated. So please don't tell me that I have overwatered my plants, when the reality of it is I got these plants a week ago. I'm trying to get them to dry out. I just don't have the time, effort, or enough fans to get that job done. That's why I always tell people to repot a plant from a nursery if they're not really sure of the soil blend and if they have one that they prefer. All right, now to my very last point, and I joined Facebook a few months ago. It's not something I'm particularly interested in. I don't particularly interact, I mean, like, post on my page or anything like that. But I joined it so that I could have access to some of the more local plant groups in case I ever decided to sell some extra plants I had lying around. I joined there and it's kind of been a mixed bag for me. Also not super fond of the way some people talk about local nurseries and how much bashing they do on there. And this isn't even in regards to the nursery that I work at. This is another one entirely. And I just felt bad for them. There was somebody commenting to another person and going on about how much this particular nursery has gone downhill with care of their plants, specifically like indoor house plants. Again, I don't come into your home and comment about all the plants that aren't looking good. And I think we've all had those situations where, despite giving it the best care possible, all the things that it needs to do good, a plant just simply will not thrive. This video is not made to shame anyone. It's really just to point out that there are people behind nurseries, especially your small local ones, and cutting them some slack is hugely beneficial. And you know, we're not just the company, we are people that try our best and have emotional attachments to plants and really are quite saddened when plants don't do good. So cut us some slack, we super appreciate it. That is pretty much the end of my rant today, guys. If you have any comments, even to the contrary of what I've said today, I would love to hear them, so please comment down below. As always, stay safe, healthy, and safe, and I will talk to y'all real soon. Goodbye.